Hey, what's up, guys? Shout out to the St. Louis City Boys podcast.
Kings, queens, and in-betweens, welcome back to the St. Louis City Boys podcast. Thank you for that lovely intro, Mr. Lovin. How sweet of you. What a nice gentleman. Our vice captain, everyone. I am so delighted to be here. My name is Ethan Thornton, one of your hosts tonight. I got my man Jacob with me. How are you doing tonight, Jacob?
I'm doing pretty good tonight. Monday Night Football just wrapped up and we jumped on here. This is City Boys After Dark, so if the energy's a little low, just understand we're recording pretty late. But yeah, I'm doing great. How are you, Grayson?
I'm good. I had to pick up a shift tonight. So that's on me while we're so late. But hey, you got to get the bag. All right. You got to get the bag.
After
But
hours.
feeling good at night.
It's
But yeah,
awesome.
that's a good week.
Yes, it is. The week is getting started. Unfortunately, we do not have the St. Louis City result that we want to be discussing. We came up against Minnesota United, and the scoreline not ideal. A 3-1 loss on the season. We're gonna get into it. Jacob, you mind taking us through the lineup for this match?
I will. It was a little bit of a different looking lineup than we've seen. We are still in the 4-2-3-1. Starting at in between the sticks, we've got Roman Berkey. Left to right, we've got Giannis Horn, Kyle Hebert, Kessler, and Jake Nerwinski. In our two holding mid positions, we've got the normal Edulovin, who, if you didn't know, shouted us out, and Chris Durkin playing alongside him. Our three attacking mid positions are Marcel Hartel, Cedric Toyshirt, and Becker starting over there at the right attacking mid position. And then Zhao Klaus makes his long-awaited start back up top. We did have some, for lack of a better term, weird substitutions throughout the game. Jake Gerwood Wright came on to start the second half for Chris Durkin, who took a knock to the knee. Then we had Jaden Reed sub on for Kessler, who also appeared to have an injury. He was kind of playing defense. It was weird. The substitution was weird because I couldn't really tell who slid over into center back because we got jumbled defensively throughout the rest of the second half. Then in the 63rd minute, we had Rasmus Alm come on for Jake Nerwinski. So then we were definitely in a three-back formation. And then we had Thorson come on in the 77th minute for Simon Becker. And that was our lineup.
It was definitely an interesting starting 11. I know that we weren't 100% sure whether or not Jake Nerwinski would retain that starting position. As it turns out, he did. What do we think of that decision, Grayson?
Nah, that ain't it. And to be fair to him, Horn didn't have a great time on that side either. Right back is definitely a position St. Louis is going to be looking at for the next couple months. I think Totland is that guy. But obviously he hasn't had a great run of form recently. Lost his spot to Jake Nerwinski. So tough looks. I would have liked to see him back for this match. Maybe the thoughts were he's been out for so long, it'll be hard to get him back up to speed, back up to match sharpness. I would have at least liked to see a cameo. I was surprised that he has not gotten minutes at all recently. So interesting one. Because yeah, we needed that width going forward on the right, and Totland provides that. Nerwinski, it's kind of hard to tell what he provides.
Yeah, it's been a really long, basically year for Thomas Totland. When we got him, he had just finished up his season overseas, and then he immediately got thrust into the starting role here, and he was playing damn near every minute for the first 66% of this season. And eventually the engine's going to go on empty and he's going to need a break. We started to see it in his performances on the field that he just looked tired. I don't know about you guys. I could really see it in his like eye sockets that he was tired.
Yeah.
So I do agree it would have been nice to see him back. I don't think he needed like a time to adjust back to playing again since he's, been playing soccer every single day for the last 9 months at this point. But it was I have a lot of questions about the starting 11 and the substitutions made, just like the rest of the fans.
Also, Jacob, you mentioned that Henry Kessler potentially took an injury. Hackworth mentioned in the post-match press conference that I believe he went into concussion protocol. He went in, passed, and then after halftime, they decided, or in halftime, they decided we're going to play it safe, and they did take that sub. You also mentioned Chris Durkin went out with an injury, which I feel like is extremely rare. You all can put that down in your notebooks that you got to see that. Um, Obviously that would be that worries me a little bit because he's the warrior type of player that would not go out for an injury under any circumstance. So did see him exit early as well. Just in this kind of must-win scenario, definitely was not the lineup that gave us the best chance, I don't think.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But moving on, the game did have results and implication. Grayson, where does that leave us in the table now?
All right. Not much movement here. We are locked in on the 28-point mark in 13th place in the West. Sitting in front of only one team who happens to be our next opponents, San Jose in 14th. But hey, the season may not look great. We're not mathematically ruled out, but
Basically.
my only goal for this season, finish above SKC. Finish above Sporting Kansas City, please. It's all we have to do to make me just get a little bit of redemption in this season, a little bit of bragging rights, so we can at least hold that over them during the off season. I don't want to hear all their chatter. So
And speaking of St. Louis's little brother, they did take a loss to Seattle over the weekend. So at the very least, that's a positive result. It would have been nice to capitalize and potentially start moving up this week, but that's not how the cards shook for us. And Grayson, you did mention we do have San Jose upcoming, which is really nice. That's, another potentially, or at the very least, a very winnable game for St. Louis City. So looking forward, I still have hope. What can I say? I'm an optimist till the very end. But
yeah,
are we ready to get into this somewhat dreaded game versus Minnesota?
Let's fucking get it over with,
let's
boys.
do it. Let's do it. I will say around the league, all the other teams that we're competing with for that playoff spot did also drop points, except for, of course, Minnesota United.
Minnesota.
So let's go ahead and get into our match review. So, first 30 minutes. Honestly, kind of dig it how STL are on a hot streak of coming in hot AF, hot as fuck. And I think that's down to the players. I think they know how important these matches are. I mean, everyone does, but they seem to just want it more immediately off the bat, catch teams off guard. Third minute of the match. Nerwinski plays a long ball over the top to Betcher, bounces up. He knocks it down with his chest. The Minnesota center backs get a touch on it, but it bounces kindly to Mr. Seti Tusher, who buries it. Game on. This is the fourth game in a row that STL has scored first. Um, Pretty sweet, awesome streak. We got to figure out how to maintain that. 22nd minute, Leuven gets caught in possession. The ball finds your boy, in open space. He takes his time. No one steps to him. He takes a shot. Berkey saves, but a really poor parry directly into the path of Longwane, who buries it quite easily. Really unfortunate there. Any notes on that goal? What did you guys see?
I was just thinking to myself, what the fuck, bro? You're our best ball player and you lost possession. Like, how unfortunate could we have been in that moment to have our number 10 lose the ball? Like, that's Durkin getting injured is a rarity. And what's even more rare is Edu Lovin being dispossessed like that.
Seriously, what an uncharacteristic moment, and for me is a good example of our season. What I would point to for our season in general: generally reliable players making mistakes, such as Berkey fumbling the ball to that also leads to a goal. But yeah, just weird.
Strange ones. 26th minute. Tuchel again finds himself on a break. He powers towards the goal and attempts a little dink, but St. Clair gets a finger on it, saves it quite simply. 27th minute, we're kind of back and forth here. Robin Lod has a slow finish to the bottom left. Berkey comes up big this time. 29th minute, Klaus finds a little bit of space on the top of the box, hits a beamer to the top bins, but it skims just over the bar. So sad. It would have been a clean shot. But that's the first 30.
I'm up. I'm up. And first, before I get into mine, I do want to say that I love Klaus's addition to the starting 11. And that moment, I was like, oh my God, we're going to score. I really thought that he almost produced something out of nothing. And I think that that's Klaus for you. Uh, but we'll get into my second 30 minutes in this match. And we'll start with the man, Klaus himself. He forces a turnover right in the middle of the park and plays in the loose ball to Seti. Klaus continues his run, though, and Toychert turns and plays him back right on the top of the 18. But Dane St. Clair makes a really great save on like a really cheeky kind of chip lift attempt from Klaus. Really good play from St. Clair and Klaus. St. Clair ended up making the team of the match day from his performance on the bench.
That's like the 5th time a goalie has made team of the match day against us too.
Yep.
It's no surprise. There was also really noteworthy defending from Diaz on MinneSNOWta, their center back on that play. But I digress. We move into added time and the 45+5. Berkey is forced to make yet another save and parries it toward Yeboah into a very similar area from where Halingwane scored from. But this time, Berkey is able to collect a follow-up shot, and that is where the first half would conclude. Still level, still plenty of hope going into the second half. But honestly, the way that MinneSNOWta ended that first half, I was not feeling too great. They definitely had momentum, and it shows going into the second half. It starts out hot and off a MinneSNOWta kickoff. Within the first 60 seconds, they are challenging already. Yeboah picks up the ball and just unleashes a crazy outside of the foot effort toward Berkey, but thankfully Berkey parries it into another slightly dangerous area. I feel like that was a recurring theme in this game. Thankfully, Nerwinski was able to convincingly clear his lines. Unfortunately, though, Yeboah would return. In the 51st minute, he would pick it up on the right side and get into a foot race with Giannis Horn, where he just burned him. He turned into Yeboah the Road Runner and gets down that end line. He serves in a sweaty FIFA-style cross. Jaden Reed goes in to clear it, and his clearance unfortunately finds the top corner of our own net. MinneSNOWta take the lead at 2-1.
Dude, what a fucking banger of a goal, too. Like, it rung the crossbar in. It's so freaking hard.
It
He
doesn't
looked
get more
up
top bins than that.
I mean, just stuck it out. There is a dent on that crossbar for sure. It's now 2-1 Loons off a Jaden Reed own goal. They didn't even earn it. In the 56th minute, MinneSNOWta would then serve in a corner that Kyle Hebert goes to clear. The Canuck truck, he's found himself in a few weird handball moments, I should say, from the New England game to now. Just really unfortunate. He goes to clear it. His arms are raised, but in my opinion, a natural position. The referee deems it in an unnatural position after going to the screen. VAR determines this is a penalty kick. Yeboah steps up, hesitates right at the perfect time, and puts it past Berkey on his right side. 3-1 MinneSNOWta. That is the last notable event of my 30 minutes. Thank goodness. Jacob, please bring us home.
Yeah, so just minutes off of a bullshit VAR handball call. We go to the 65th minute. Hartel throws the ball into Klaus. Klaus turns really nicely with the ball just to get fouled right at the corner of their 18-yard box. I will say, as far as like TV angles, there weren't very many great ones for you to be able to tell exactly where he was, but from what I could, like, based off of television depth perception, Klaus was definitely in the box. And if you go and watch the replay, the referee is standing right there. So it's a twofold non-call because it does go to VAR. He does deem it, not a penalty kick and a free kick there. But I really do feel like he got the call wrong. And because there wasn't great evidence via the television, he didn't want to go back on his own missed call.
Completely agree.
So right there at the corner of the 18, Edu steps up to take a free kick and he smokes it right into the head of the Minnesota wall, which fair play to Minnesota's defenders there. I wouldn't want to take any shot anywhere on my body from Edu, especially not to the head. And also, that's exactly what good teams do. They put their bodies on the line in order to make sure they win the game. So, note something we can learn from, hopefully. We're going to jump to the 78th minute. Twickert is dribbling the ball up the right side of the field, and he finds the run of Thor, who's making a beautiful run against the back line. Twickert put a brilliant through ball cross low on the ground for only Thor to reach, and he just gets his footing wrong as he's entering the box, passing the line, so much so that it forces him into a sliding chance to try to shoot the ball, which if he had just continued sprinting, he would have had a much better opportunity to shoot that ball. But because he slides, he barely gets anything on it, and he passes it directly into St. Clair's hands. Yeah, that pretty much rounds it up. In the next, 25 minutes, basically, with added time, there were 2 wide shots from Lud and 2 great saves by Roman Berkey to basically get us to the final whistle at 90+10, and City lost 3-1. So I'm gonna shoot this to Grayson. Where was your head at after our performance?
I feel like I sat in silence after this game, just kind of pondering about this season and trying to figure out exactly what went wrong for us. And it's definitely a hard one to wrap your head around. Definitely a heartbreaking match. Um, Feels like the wind's taken out of your sails, man.
Well said. Yeah, I'll totally follow that sentiment. In the mud is how I would describe myself after a disappointing performance where you could tell that it was an all-out attempt at a win that just didn't materialize in almost any sense. Only scoring 1 goal in this game is just not good enough. It's not going to cut it. And given our attacking quality, it's pretty surprising, to be honest. Jacob, you did mention in the preview of this game that we would see a more clogged box, probably in a more congested middle. I'm not 100% sure if Minnesota did go out with 5 back, but I would agree with you that the middle was a lot more congested and we were not able to build in the same ways that we normally are.
They came out in a 4-2-3-1, but they did have 10 players defending at all times. Post this game for our viewers out there, I was camping for this game, and I found the one spot on the top of this mountain that I had cell service to go spend 2 hours watching this game, just to then hike down from this mountain pissed off. I was really upset with, after we don't get that penalty call and then Thor fluffs his shot, like, there wasn't a lot of intensity from our team. We had already chalked up the loss. You saw Edu play out of character in drawing that yellow card because he was pissed off at the referee. You saw a lot of heads down, shoulders slunked over, not a lot of fight for us to even come back. They should have known with 2 long VAR checks that there was going to be a lot of added time. So when the clock is ticking up towards that 90, it's not going to end at 90. Like, I thought 10 minutes was too little amount of stoppage time added personally. So I was pissed at our lack of fire. The only person that was really showing me that he wanted to win was Zhao Klaus, which, no surprise, Zhao Klaus plays with a chip on his shoulder, but everybody else is just playing pissed off with no no goal to put that pissed off play towards. They were just playing mad to play mad. I was also pissed off at what the fuck were these substitutions, bro? Like Simon Becker statistically is our most effective goal scorer at this point, and we subbed him off when we're in a 3-back formation to have Thor come on, and Thor has had more poor moments than he's had great moments this season. Like when he talks shit to the Juarez goalkeeper, fire. But if that's your number one moment on the season, bro, in League's Cup, like he's not, no. I don't think Thor needed to get subbed on. This weird 3-back we were in, like Yaro's sitting right there on the bench, Tottenham's on the bench as well. We could have stayed in a 4-back or even moved Tottenham up to like a wingish type position. There were just a lot of things that I disagreed with about this game, how it was handled from a coaching perspective and a player's perspective, and that is the story of our season.
Yeah, with this lineup, there's really not a lot of width because we have two wingers, Marcel Hartel, who is a 10 and plays more centrally, and you have Betcher, who is a striker who plays more centrally off of Klaus. So that forces Nerwitsky and whoever our left back is, Giannis
Horn.
Horn or
Yep.
whoever, to press super high, but neither one of them. Horn is a little bit more capable. Nowitzki is not. So we don't have that width. So all of our attack is trying to force it through the middle. And sometimes we get fantastic runs of play, interchangeable passing, fluid rotation. But most of the game, for the remaining 86 minutes, it's players running into each other's spots. We got players making runs that never get fed passes. It's just a lot of moving parts that never move to the right part, right places. They never seem to fit together. So
And then with that, when we are attacking, there were far too many times where these players that are typically like making those midfield runs, right, when we're in possession, those midfield runs where they're getting in each other's way. Once we were getting to the box, nobody was making dynamic runs into the box or overlapping runs for us to create with and pull defenders out. Is like the play that's happening in our midfield needed to transition to our attack, but everybody got stagnant in our attack. And the only goal we scored was off of a quick over the top counter, which like isn't even our team's bread and butter.
Yeah, that goal, it felt almost out of place, given St. Louis City's recent goals and the buildup recently. Yeah, it just felt weird that a long ball to Nerwinski that I like. It felt like that is just typically a play where we end up seeing the ball turn over. I would also agree that I don't think Thor did himself any favors in this game. I do think that he could have taken a chance and really put some wind back in the sails of the team. And yeah, that after that own goal, I totally agree. I think the players just their shoulders dropped just a little more. Frustration started boiling over. Not an ideal way to handle a must-win matchup, even after going down. Needing to see out those wins and come from behind as well as hold on to a lead is something that St. Louis City has not been great at this season, and ultimately it's kind of what cost us. I think it's actually a pretty good segue into my point if we're ready to get into that.
Let's do it.
Which is that St. Louis City actually are league leaders in something. Unfortunately, it's not really something to take pride in at all. St. Louis City has dropped 25 points from winning positions this season. And so what I want to do is just break that down for you. If you don't necessarily know what that means, or if you're wondering what the implications are, here's what that means. I'm going to break it down for you very simply, as if maybe you don't know anything about soccer. A win in the MLS in soccer in general is worth 3 points. This is the scoring system pretty universally. A draw is worth 1 point, and a loss gets you 0 points. So what this means, you can equate it to St. Louis City losing points in a game. A good example is the Portland game, where we had a 3-1 lead, which would have won us 3 points from that game. The game ends 4-4. We have 1 point. Therefore, we dropped 2 points from that winning position. Another good example would be the Kansas City game where we were up 1-0, 3 points. The game ends 1-1, and we end up with 1 point. 25 points this season being lost would have put us in second in the West this season, sitting 2 points behind LAFC on 53 points plus our 28 current ones, given the results that we've had this season. Of course, hindsight is 2020, but we knew in that time span where we were accumulating the most draws in the league that eventually that would come back to bite us. And even had we won against Minnesota and found ourselves in a tiebreaker position, Minnesota would have come out on top of that because they have more wins. All this to say that St. Louis City's drop points this season ultimately cost us not only a playoff spot, a contention spot, but a top spot in the league. Second behind LA Galaxy would be challenging for the supporter shield. Unfortunately, we find ourselves instead in the mud, in the basement, the gutter of the league, sitting just above San Jose on 28 points with only 5 matches to go. Not good for St. Louis City, and also not the record that any kind of playoff team holds.
Yeah.
After that little bit of self-torture, who wants to take us into our next point?
Just embarrassing to be first in the league for such a terrible stat. Sure, I will try to. Well, my point's not really going to make us feel any better either, but
Mine's not either.
it is what it is at this point. Yeah, my point this week is that a season like this is what it means to be a real fan. Now, let me preface, I am as tired as everybody else of comparing this team to our team last year. And also, that's the only history we've got. So that's the only comparison we can make. So just hear me out. When you're blessed with a year like we had last year, it is so easy to be a fan. Yes, we had a couple of poor skids throughout the season where we lost a couple. I think our most losing run last year was 3 to 4 games, and this year we've literally had a run of like 7 losses. That is an exaggeration. Anyways,
Maybe.
But at points like that, it's easy to be a fan. You know, you have guys that get injured, like we had injuries this year, but guys last year were stepping up to the plate, playing really, really well, keeping us, you know, going, winning matches, as opposed to this year, we get strung with injuries and no one's really stepping up to the plate. We're calling guys from MLS Next Pro team, giving them contracts, and they're playing good a game here or there, but they're not winning us games like last year when Celio popped off because of injuries at outside mid. So yeah, when your playoff hopes are alive and you're challenging for silverware, it's all sunshine and rainbows to be a fan. This year, it's really, really hard. What does it mean to be a true fan? Take the 3 of us, for example. Blind optimism is a #1 trait of a true fan. Literally, the 3 of us cumulatively have only predicted 3 losses this year. Cumulatively, that's 1 loss for each of us as a prediction. Every other prediction we've made has either been a win or a draw, and it's been way more W predictions than it's been draw predictions, and we have 5 wins on the season. If that doesn't scream blind optimism to you, I don't know how else to define it with an example.
Like we knew going into all the away matches that we had not won a match on the road all season. Still going into New England, we all predicted W's.
Yeah, and we dropped points. We
from a winning position.
We were winning 1-0, and then we're losing 2-1 just to come back to draw. So sure, we dropped points. But yeah, I will say, though, if you started your sports fandom with this team last year in good times, welcome to being a fan. and don't leave now when the going is tough, because trust me, I'm going to remember the fake ass bullshit fans who only talk shit all year, nothing really of any substance to add of how our team can get better or ideas going forward, or just like any ounce of positivity that you're supposed to have as a fan, even though your team has only won 5 fucking games all year. I'm going to remember who you are. I talk to you guys all the time on Twitter. I talk to you guys all the time via comments on Instagram. Trust me, when inevitably the MLS Cup comes to St. Louis and we are MLS Cup champions, you better be at the back of the fucking line to kiss that trophy, because you are a bullshit ass fan. I don't want to hear it.
Get him.
Anyways, true fandom, you can't have highs without lows. So you got to ride out the lows so you can fly high with the highs. Let's go City.
Well said.
Hey,
Put
that didn't make me feel so bad. That's a little bit of
Yeah.
optimism. Made me kind of excited for the future, excited for next season.
Put that on an inspirational background and a good quote, please. My
We're going to
word.
need a lot of canvas.
All right,
Yeah.
all right, all right. Last point. Speaking of which, if you didn't know, that's why we have the 3 points in every episode. Whoa,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Wild.
What? Okay. The final, third and final point. We're talking about the future. What is St. Louis City going to look like next season? But before we get into that, let's take a look at what this team is right now. We've seen 2 different teams this season. We've seen the first team, beginning of the year, a slightly depleted St. Louis team that we knew from last season. Not much change. We added Chris Durkin to the press. That was fantastic. Celio was insane. Probably
So good.
could have been player of the season if he stayed healthy. Also, I'll have you know, created 36 chances.
My word.
That is 9 less than Edward Leuven's created all season. Give Celio second half of the season. Man is our player this season. But hey, beginning of the season, we still couldn't produce. We scored clutch goals to rescue points, but this is the time period where we picked up the majority of our draws. We had dynamic wingers in Celio on the left and usually Indiana Vasilev on the right. They would take on their defenders and score. We saw Celio pop in a couple goals. We saw Vasilev take a couple curlers early in the season. It was fantastic. But the issue was same issue we had last season. We couldn't hold on to the ball long enough to do it again. So we keep trying. Celio gets injured. Nilsson, Sam leaves. Klaus can't seem to score and then gets injured. We need reinforcements. Enter in the second team of the season. Our new signings transform this offense. It's clear they're good, but something isn't right. We score early quite often, can't seem to replicate it for the rest of the game. Can't kill off matches. We've got a new coach who, granted, is learning too, but our system seems to be hindering the players. So the question is, what is our best 11? How can we make it work? How can we play all these amazing players together when a lot of them play the same position? We have 2 amazing attacking midfielders in Hartel and Tuchert. We've been playing Hartel out of position the entire time he's been in St. Louis. He is a number 10 who likes to cut in the middle. So we need a little width. So I propose a formation that would bring in a lot of these attacking players, but there still is some issues to it. So let me propose it to you guys. This formation is inspired by the 2006 Jose Mourinho's Chelsea, who conceded 15 goals all season, not because they were a defensive powerhouse, but because they could contain the ball and move it really well.
This sounds like Park the Bus.
It is not Park the Bus. Thank you very much. And I'll start with the offense. So we're going to be in a 4-1-2-3. Well, we're going to start top to bottom. So, of course, striker. This could be one of 2 people. and this is a very important spot. Klaus fits perfectly in this spot because you have him who is a striker who is made to play off of people. He can bring the ball down, and his passing, his interchangeable play is fantastic. His finishing isn't all there right now. We've clearly seen that. But where he works best is bullying center backs, winning the ball, and laying it off, which is exactly what Didier Drogba did that season. He was not a prolific goal scorer his first season. He did not score those crazy goals that he did. All he did was try to claim both of their opposing center backs' attention to allow your width to attack in. On the left side, we have Celio. Full healthy Celio would be a game changer to this team. On the right, we have Indiana Vassilev. Indiana Vassilev is my starting right winger at this point. We've seen Betcher play. I think Betcher is a striker, but I think he did put up a pretty decent game as right wing this last match. Not his best spot, but he was pretty effective. Then in the 210s, we have Marcel and Tuchel playing in right behind Klaus. Get them in both of their best positions. I want to see if Tuchel can play as a lone 9, kind of where Klaus is, because I think he has a good body in him. Like he can body off defenders. He can play that number 9, but we haven't seen it. We haven't seen it tried yet. So
That's real nice of you, Grayson.
he's got a great bod. Great
Take him to dinner first. I don't disagree with you though that I think he could also fill a pretty similar kind of hold up role that Klaus has.
FIFA has him as a striker, just by the way.
True. But here's where the issues come into play, which I think STL needs to tackle in the off season. Of course, with this lineup, where does Leuven play? So basically, we have 5 spots left. We have a holding midfielder, and we have 2 center backs, a left back, and a right back. The left back and the right back have to be able to get up the field, but not too much, which I think will be beneficial to our players because they're not completely outright fantastic attackers. So they can still go up there and overlap Celio, put in crosses, put in balls in. Jaden Reed's been fucking fantastic at that. Totland is great at that too. But they don't have to get that far up because we do have those wingers. Center backs. We do need 2 ball-playing center backs. Kessler is ideal. So he's perfect. We need, I think, in my opinion, we need to pick up another center back just like Kessler who can play the ball well, is not scared to move the ball up. And then lastly, we need a center defensive mid who will stay put in front of that defensive line to provide cover, to provide an outlet in build up, because those ball passing center backs are going to need someone to hit. And that's going to be that center defensive mid who, one, needs to be a great defensive midfielder, but also needs to be a good progressive passer and move the ball up further to our number 10s. So that's going to be a hard position to lock in.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that our number 10, Mr. Lovin, did not make that lineup that you mentioned, Grayson. Do you think that he could fill potentially that defensive mid role, or do you think that it's someone more like Chris Durkin or Jake Goodwood-Reich?
So I do think that Leuven can play this role. He does like being that deep line playmaker. And if you look at his stats, his defensive stats are actually quite good. For a number 10 of his caliber, he does play a lot of defense. But the issue is his discipline. I don't want to confine him to staying back like that. Although I do think that his passing would be ideal to that. I don't know if he's prepared to let go of the reins of being the number 1 creative outlet. Because in this formation, we kind of need to let go and let Hartel and Tuchel take over, and that the main progressor of the ball would be that center defensive mid. If he's willing to take that role, then I think he'd be fantastic at it. But I don't know. See, there's still issues with that formation, but I do like how the offense is. I'm just trying to figure out how to play all of
Interesting.
our new signings in their best position. So it's really tricky.
What do you think, Jacob?
About him or about what I have cooked up here on Footbin?
Yeah, let's get your,
Yeah, let's hear. I want to hear what you think.
yeah, Jacob's got a good lineup.
So I took a 3-5-2 route to our lineup, and a good problem to have is like three of these positions could be any amount of players or between two different players. But starting at the back, I'm pretty sure he's going to be here next season. I hope he's going to be here next season. Roman Berkey in that just hard stop.
What?
Three back, I've got Henry Kessler as that central center back
Mhm.
because he's tall as hell. Like Grayson said, he's a ball playing center back and a ball winning center back. And he's also got long legs. So you need all of those things if you're going to play center back in a three back formation. I did choose two smaller bodies, but are definitely faster than Kessler to play the other two center back positions. On the right center back, I have Giannis Horn, which technically he would prefer to be on the left side, but this is Footbin, and I just typed his name in over on the right side. So you can have him play left center back if you want to. I think Horn offers a good mix of the little bit of attacking quality we've seen from him. He can make those short passes, and in a formation like this, there's a body near you all the time, so short passes are key. And it's also not asking him to get up and down the field in a three back formation.
I describe him as like physically technical, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. He's solid with the fundamentals.
Exactly.
And then on the other side, I have surprise to Grayson, Kyle Hebert playing that other center back role. For what we have to offer now at the center back role, which could change in the transfer windows, I don't necessarily trust Wenzel there just yet. This could also be a position that JGR can get into, is being another big body who also isn't afraid to play a forward pass. But I have liked what I've seen out of Hebert, and with what we have to offer at that position right now, I trust him the most to play that position effectively. Our two CDM roles are Edu Lowen, duh. And then it could be either Chris Durkin or JGR or even an Akil Watts at that other CDM position.
Okay.
I throw Akil Watts out there because from what I've seen, when the coach asks him to play whatever position he's in, he executes it by the book. Like he doesn't necessarily play out of what that role would be. So as far as like staying back and offering cover as a true CDM, I think Akil Watts could do that. Is he the best man for the job? I don't think so, but he's a good option to have coming off the bench for when Chris Durkin has a random knee injury before halftime, you know. I do agree with you. Left mid, I have Celio Pompeu. He is a game changer, and once we have him back, once he's back to full health and full form, and he's not even concerned about his leg anymore, he's going to be a menace. Then I have Rasmus Alm at the right mid, who that could also be Indy, and Indy could also play left mid as well. You know, Indy is a utility going forward. So do you bench him or do you start him? That's a good problem to have. And then I have Marcel Hartel at center attacking mid at that number 10 position. I have liked what I've seen from Toy Shirt so far this season as the cam, and I also think Hartel would be better at it. We saw this weekend, he's got the skill moves to beat a defender 1v1. He also plays such a phenomenal ball. As you've seen from the corner kicks he's taken, the free kicks that he's looped in. I think he could do a wonderful job there. And then you've got Cedric Toykert and Zhao Klaus as the two strikers. Klaus being that target man to play off of, and then Cedric Toykert as that more skilled first look is always to take a shot, as opposed to Klaus's first look is always to pass. And I think that's a really good pairing with Hartel feeding the both of them. And that is how I would line us up for the rest of the season, minus Celio Pompeo, because, you know, his leg broke right now.
That is unfortunately just not possible at the moment. But I don't disagree, Jacob, and I am in agreement with you about Kyle Hebert. I think that he is having a better. He's progressing since last year. I think that the Copa America actually did like really well for him. It's not often that you see club players go on an international break and return stronger. So I do really like that about him. I also know that he came up from City 2 and he's a Missouri State product. So I think that even though he's Canadian, the localness, the locality of him also gives like just that extra kind of sentiment to Kyle Hebert. So I'm also sticking with our Canuck truck in a center back role. Grayson, why do you disagree?
Listen, I like Kyle Hebert. I do. I really do. But I don't think that we can say that's our best 11 if we've got Kyle Hebert out there. I love Kyle Hebert, but I think it's clear that our defense needs some changings. And we've been swapping and changing left backs and right backs all year. I think we need to move around our center backs a bit. It's clear Nilsson and Parker were a great pairing. Kessler, we need to find his partner. And I don't think it's Kyle Hebert.
Interesting. I hear the side that he, in my opinion, has been a bit unlucky this season to find himself on like the wrong side of a few handball calls. And I would agree that there's probably some better MLS center backs out there. Um, maybe like Aaron Long, Walker Zimmerman, and those are two national team members that I would not recommend play for the national team, but I do think would be successful at the MLS level. So I don't disagree with you, Grayson, as far as like tiers in the MLS center backs. I don't think Kyle Hebert is the top, but right now, I do think that he and Kessler can get the job done. So I'm going to go into my starting 11 for my perfect starting 11 for next year. Of course, it has Berkey at the back. I'm still rocking with the 4-2-3-1. I think that right now, this formation lets us put a lot of our best pieces in some of the best places. Honestly, though, I'd really like to see someone a lot more qualified than any of these armchair analysts, even though I love you guys, put this team together just because something as simple as a formation change could be the catalyst that gives our team some momentum. But I'm not going to change it. I'm going to keep from right to left, Totland, Hebert, Kessler, and Jaden Reed in the starting 11. I think that is really our most solid defensive center back pairing, paired with our most attacking outside backs, with also having the quality to not let our two center backs be just caught totally out on a counterattack. I also think that if Chris Durkin and Edu Loving can spend more time together in that pivot role, that they'll be able to work out the kind of spacing and chemistry that the two need to be successful and also leave Chris Durkin in front of the center back so that we stop getting caught out in transition. I think from right to left that Toykert, Hartel, and Celio would be our best attacking mid trio. That does leave Indy out, but Toykert's quality is unbelievable. He can really produce some special moments on the ball. And Jacob, I also totally in agreement with you about Hartel's quality. And I think that he would do just, in my opinion, Luciano Acosta level of damage in the middle of an MLS pitch. I think he would carve up CDMs and center backs. Of course, I have my man João Klaus starting up top. He's been receiving a lot of stick online this season. I feel like I will say he has not been productive as we expected, not as productive as last season. He's still the guy for me. I think that he is a top quality striker in the MLS, and I am so glad that he's on St. Louis City and not on one of our opposing teams. So that's for me our best 11. It doesn't necessarily change up too much, but that's what I think. Excluding Celio, like Jacob, move Indy in for Celio, and I think that's the 11 that will give us our best chances for the rest of the season.
Yep. Obviously, a lot of things that need to change for City to become a successful team again, and I think there's a lot of stuff that needs to change off the pitch as well, like mindset, just a lot of intangibles that cause us to not be able to hold on to a game for longer. Hey, if matches were 20 minutes,
We're number one.
We're crazy.
Uh,
Well, gentlemen, if that does it all for our 3 points, you know what time it is. Put the gloves on. It's time for Kit Clash. Get us going. And honestly, this week I have been looking forward to this kit all season, truthfully, just because I feel like it's so polarizing. I feel like if you see people talking about it, they either love it to death or they aren't a fan of it at all. Let's get into it. Jacob, I want to hear your stance first because you are definitely our most polarizing man on Kit Clash.
yeah, let me pull it up. So if somebody else want to go first.
Grayson, you got it?
Yeah, I got it. So break it down for y'all. This kit seems to be the Starry Night kit from the up north in Minnesota, showing off the night sky. I believe it looks like they're attempting sort of an Aurora Borealis kit with some northern lights. It looks pretty sick. I like it. Um, it's got the galaxy on it. It's honestly really unique. I can't think of any other club that would have something like this. The only um thing that I think you can get away with is like kind of looks like a pre-match top. Like it doesn't look like a jersey. Kind of looks like a shirt you'd wear before the game. But I do think it is cool, super unique. Why do they have a star on their badge? Y'all haven't won anything.
That is weird.
Maybe that's just I don't know. Whatever. I
It's
give
not
it
above the badge. It's
yeah.
actually a part of their badge. So they kind of got away with one there.
Take it off. Um, I'll give it a 7.3. I do like it. I do like it.
Yeah, polarizing I am, and a realist I am as well. This kit does go hard for me. I agree, Grayson. It as a knock to it, it does look like a training kit, and I think an easy fix to that is just continue the galaxy pattern down the backside. Instead of this like flat black
Yeah.
shit that they've got. But I do rate this kit. I have no idea what their bird is. I'm not a bird person.
Balloon.
Yeah, I don't know shit about a loon. I don't even know if that's what that thing looks like.
What's the loon?
Target as a sponsor, kind of mid, to be fair. You know,
Uh-huh.
Target's only really cool for white bitches.
Tarjay.
So I'm gonna give this a 7.5, 7.5.
Well, I'm looking forward to reviewing this kit because really I'm caught between two schools of thought. And one is Grayson's uniqueness and originality point, because I have not seen a kit like this in my life ever. And I have been a kit nerd pretty much since I got into soccer. So I definitely do want to give this kit points for that. Jacob, I'm also not a fan of the Target sponsor. I haven't been since Minnesota United's inception. I just don't think it looks great. It just looks like an actual Target, which if you're a fan of would probably do it for you, but I'm not. So it's not. And the last thing is that this kit kind of reminds me of those like graphic print yoga pants or like tracksuits that you can get at the mall that you would see next to like emoji tracksuits and yoga pants. And
You've been
Minnesota
staring at a
United
lot of
beat
yoga
us,
pants.
so I'm getting my lick back on this one, like Jacob would do. I'm giving them a 4.5 because I I like where they were headed with the blue, but it is not doing it for me. I think that it just looks almost incomplete.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. Although it does also slightly remind me of the like some of the OG CR7 fly knits,
Yeah.
which do give me good memories, but They beat us and maybe eliminated us from playoff contention. So fuck them.
B.
That's how I'm feeling.
I think it's crazy that like LA Galaxy hasn't come out with a similar looking kit, you know.
Right?
They haven't put the Milky Way onto their jersey like ever. And Minnesota is a bird and they put the fucking Galaxy on their jersey.
That's true.
But
It seems obvious, but we digress. We have, even though the season feels almost over after this game, we do have 5 more matches remaining, including, like we mentioned earlier, an extremely winnable match against San Jose. Jacob, you want to talk about him at all?
yeah, I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because the episode's kind of getting long to this point. San Jose, surprise, surprise, is dead last in the Western Conference and also dead last in the MLS standings. They have 17 points in 28 games played. They are a full 11 points behind us in the table. So unless they have a crazy run of form towards the end of the season and we really fall off towards the end of the season, we won't be finishing dead last.
Cool.
Go on, boys.
They are coming off of back-to-back losses, and from what I could tell, they either play a 3-4-3 or a 4-2-3-1. The last time we played them, they played a 4-2-3-1 and they lost, so who knows if they'll switch it up to a 3-4-3. Yeah, like Ethan said, this should be a victory for St. Louis in what feels like a consolation win. A victory does, in theory, keep our playoff hopes alive, but we need a lot of things to go our way throughout the rest of the season. So we will see on match day. Yeah, Grayson, what is your prediction for this weekend?
My prediction is a 3-1 win. I still don't have too much belief in our back line at the moment, and I think we're going to be playing a pretty experimental St. Louis City 11 to start off with.
Agreed.
But I think offensively it's going to work out. We're going to get 3 goals, most likely from our new boys. I think 3-1 is my prediction with Hartel scoring.
It's easy enough. Easy enough. I like it, Grayson. San Jose is also going to be playing a midweek match this week, coming up on against the Seattle Sounders on Wednesday,
Ooh.
which is really interesting.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of glad that not only do we get to play the worst team in the league, but they get to come off a short week. So I am not too upset about it. I don't really know if there's even anything else worth notable about San Jose, like
They've got Jackson Yule.
yeah, like Christian Espinoza has been like a bright spot for them, but even still, they're just like us. Probably they're searching for anything to cling on to. I was actually there the last time we played San Jose at City Park. It's one of the last matches that we actually got a victory in.
That's fun.
I'm just gonna say 2-0 because I do believe in our defense. A clean sheet has to come, or else what the fuck are they doing? Taking Klaus. I think Klaus will score. He needs one. Maybe a header goal. A header goal from Joao Klaus is my prediction.
It'll happen.
What do you got, Jacob? Let me guess.
Well, I'm gonna predict a victory. Blind optimism.
This one's maybe a little bit of sight.
We're playing them away, so
Oh,
Damn.
I would love to get our first victory on the road against a team on a short week.
I think it's
And
gonna happen.
Also, we haven't gotten a win on the road
An
in over
unstoppable
a season.
dude. This is an unstoppable force versus an immovable object because we also have not lost to San Jose in all 3 of our matchups in our history. We've beaten them, so something's got to
ourselves.
change.
We've got to beat ourselves to
Yeah.
win.
Pause. I would like to see us come out in an experimental formation. Haven't heard a lot of news on if Chris Durkin can go, but I'd like to see JGR for a full game. Edu from a set piece. The score line is going to be 3-1, like you said, Grayson. And for a non-normal pick, I'm going to pick Kyle Hebert to bang in a goal to shut your mouth, all that disrespect you've been giving the Canuck truck, Grayson.
Hey, please back it up, sir. Please.
But yeah, that's my prediction.
I would love that.
Well, gentlemen, just before we wrap up the episode, of course, we always leave space for our grab bag. And I'm going to take the first one this week because I actually have a really great story about a really good piece of neckwear involving one of the most handsome goalkeepers in the MLS, Mr. Roman Berkey. So St. Louis City finally released player scarves, and I've been itching to get my hands on one. Unfortunately, I live in Louisville, and the St. Louis City team store is in St. Louis. And when the item is pickup only, what can you do but send your best friend on the spot to go and get it? My man Trustin's in St. Louis. He goes to the training facility, picks up the scarf, notices that the team is training. Well, that's really cool. He gets to watch a professional team practice, one of his favorite teams practice. At the training, not only does a random passerby come by and say that they know the St. Louis City podcast, shout out to you, my man. You are dope. You got to say hi to John Klein. Marcel Hartel said what's up. And then the big one. My man got to meet Edu Lovin, who gave the pod a shout out. What a story. All for this scarf. Just want to give a huge shout out to Trustin and to Edu for making the time. That's amazing. That's big time. Appreciate you all. Yeah, it's crazy, guys. Damn. But that's all I got for grab bag stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
don't want to gloss over that moment at all. Having our number 10 have our podcast name in his mouth, all from the efforts of Trustin, who deserves all the praise in this moment. Super, super freaking cool. Every time I replay that video, it puts a smile on my face. So shout out to both Edu and Trustin.
Yep. I was very giddy that day.
Literally shaking.
Ethan, you got any other grab bags?
That's all for me.
Okay, cool. Real quick, I just want to gloss over that EA 25 has started to drop their player ratings for next season's formerly known as FIFA. But they dropped St. Louis City's ratings. I wanted to throw them out to you guys, see what you guys think. So we have our highest rated player, of course. It's the man between the sticks, Roman Berkey. He gets a 78 rating, which is really good. I think it's pretty solid. I think he even got an upgrade from last year. I think he was like 75 or something last year.
Yeah, he did go up from last year.
But he's
I
still
think
a
this-
common. He's a common gold. At least make him rare. Make the card shiny, you know?
I agree.
I will say we do not have any gold rares. We have two more gold players. That would be Edward Leuven with a 75 rating. Pretty solid. I think that's pretty good. And then Marcel Hartel also with a 75 rating.
Hartel looks like a decent center attacking mid. I probably wouldn't want him too far back with only 43 defending, but
Yeah.
He does look like a cheap baller for
yeah.
those early game squads if you're going the MLS build route.
I mean, if you're watching the St. Louis City Boys podcast, I would not put it past you to have an entire St. Louis City starting 11 like
Oh, yeah.
I've made in every FIFA game I've had since they've been around. So
Just don't use it online.
Oh,
no, would not
like,
recommend that.
It's
I-
already
hey,
sweaty enough. Imagine
Dude.
sweating with a team full of 90% silvers.
Dude, I do. I sweat with the
Evolution grind.
sweating people that have like all legend players with an MLS team that has like silvers and shit on it. Oh,
I claim to be
Good for that.
a little bit above mid at most video games. FIFA is not one of those video games I'm good at.
Can't keep up.
hey, I
I-
would love to have a City
Same.
Boys FIFA tournament or something in the future. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. But
I'll get bounced round one.
dude, I think I will too. Other notable players, João Klaus with a rare silver, 74. But I will say João Klaus is the second strongest player in the MLS with an 85 physicality. And I will point out that Leuven has 82 physicality, so he's got to be up there too.
Dude, Klaus has 14 higher physicality than Nielsen,
Yeah,
our center back. Oof.
Nilsson
How
at
slow as
72.
fuck though.
Yeah, he is. So is Leuven. I will say shout out to Alm with the 69 rating.
Nice.
And it looks
Nice.
like he might be rated our fastest player at 83. I'd love to see
Yeah.
what Celio's card is.
Celio, I think, was paced at 75. I just
Gotcha,
did the
gotcha.
team build and foot bin for our for your point.
It looks like Horn is at 75 as well. It's kind of wild. But yeah. So yeah, a couple City players there to round up. I knew that I think City Views posted a picture of his FIFA team with like a really crazy Leuven that was like 90 rated or something.
Oof.
I would like to see that Leuven on the pitch.
He wasn't there this week, unfortunately. But with that, the club released the video of Berkey guessing his card and Indy basically playing host for that video. And he's gonna do so well post career as somebody in the
Yeah.
media if he really wants to. He is as entertaining as they come. I really enjoyed watching that specifically for his charisma and his comedic relief's not the right word because it wasn't a tense moment at all. He's just like funny, you know?
He's a
What
funny
a
dude.
yeah, what a guy to have in the locker room on top of the I would say pedigree that he had coming from Inter Miami and before that Aston Villa. Like this guy's not a scrub by any means. So for him to be like just as humble as he is and like delightful to be around, yeah, that's awesome.
With a six stash, not to
Yeah. Yeah.
so yeah.
I want whatever supplements he's on for hair growth.
Me too.
Oh,
Any other grab bags, boys? I think that's it for me too. Jacob, how about you go ahead and hit that outro, baby?
Follow all of the socials in the description below. They will be there. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you are listening on Spotify, follow and rate 5 stars. We did just surpass how many listens on Spotify, Ethan?
oh, we have hit the big one. 100, gentlemen.
Triple digits. So shout out to you on Spotify. Whatever few you are listening, you're doing good things over there.
We
And
appreciate you.
most importantly, make sure you talk to your mom, call her up, shoot her a text, see her in person. For those of you that can't, I'm sorry, go visit, do what you can, but make sure you tell your mother you love
Take her to a City game.
her. We got 2 more.
Couple more.
matches
Couple
left.
more.
I mean, that does it.
Let's do it.
STL. STL.
TL.
STL.